welcome to episode number 46 of the New Slang Podcast. I'm Thomas Mooney, and on this week's episode, we have Jack Ingram and Bruce Robison on. Originally, we were going to also have Charlie on, but the day that we were doing this, he was having some vocal problems. His voice was really kind of, essentially like kind of non-existent from the night before and everything, so we'll have Charlie on sometime, though. But anyways, this interview, we had Jack and Bruce on, and it was the final night of this Unleashed live reunion kind of run, and originally that run happened in, I guess, like 1999 or so. The live record came out in 2000, and it was the final night of them going on, like, I think they said in the interview, a 3-week run where they were all on Lucky Dog Records and just had all recently put out these new albums. And anyways, on this episode right here, we talk about those old days, those days where the infancy of modern day Texas country, and we go into a little bit about songwriting and like what really still drives them as songwriters, and we talk about Bruce's next Waltz series and like how it reinvigorating and re-engaging all these little projects that they're doing like that, and just kind of like how this Unleashed reunion run is kind of reinvigorating as well, because what Bruce said is that it's being able to take a step back from yourself and focus on other people. And so we talk a lot about those developments. If you're into reading the stuff I write, there's a couple of new pieces on Wide Open Country, one on Dave Cobb Records. Everyone kind of knows Sturgill Simpson and Chris Stapleton and Jason Isbell, but Dave Cobb has like 100 producing credits out there, so I kind of highlight 15 of his lesser known albums that are really, really good that you should check out. There's a few other pieces coming out, and I believe also there will be a piece on just Bruce, Charlie, and Jack's impact on early Texas country, and really like talking about the 3 records that they released in 98 and 99, which are Bruce's Wrapped, Hey You by Jack Ingram, and Life of the Party by Charlie Robison. Those records really had a major impact on what Texas country became. So I talk a little bit about that in this piece, and like a little bit about the Unleashed live tour, as far as like what they did on stage and whatnot. I don't want to talk too much longer on here. If you don't follow me on the social media stuff, you can go ahead and find me at _newslang on Twitter. Leave a review on iTunes or on Spotify. Follow us on both. Tell your friends to subscribe as well. And here's this interview with Jack Ingram and Bruce Robison. I guess it's been like 18 years since the Unleashed record.
Unleashed live.
Yeah.
As we sometimes refer to it as the whiskey debacle of 1999.
Yeah.
Well, like, was that like just? I know that was recorded in Green Hall, but like, had you guys gone on a tour similar to this back then, or was that just like
it was the last show of a 3-week,
something like that? Yeah.
3-week run.
Yeah.
So I think it was the last show.
I think it was too, and I can't remember where that came about, but yeah, we were doing that. We had all put records out on the same label, so
right.
I guess it was their idea to do the tour. But
I thought they filmed it too.
I
think there's footage somewhere.
God, maybe so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So it was funny to look back on that. We had y'all had been friends for a while, and Jack had reached out to us and taken us on tour right at the very start of our careers. And how long would that have been before?
That would have been
Unleashed?
We started hanging out in like 95, 96, 94, 95, 96.
So it's hard to think back on how long that was, but so we'd known each other for a few years, and we were friends already and everything. But
I got on that label because Lucky Dog was a label that was a subsidiary, it was a tax write-off for the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
They had all that money at Sony, and they were doing great, and the Dixie Chicks were, in my mind, they were good enough to talk about at cocktail parties, but those guys that run those kinds of labels, they love to talk about stuff that they love. Mm-hmm. And so they signed Charlie, they signed Bruce, and I was like, well, my friends are making cool records over there, or going to make cool records or whatever. I want to be over there. The only thing we didn't realize was that we were a label just for them to feel better about themselves. So they could make records that they liked.
But looking back, it was funny. It's cool, It's a cool time. But yeah, it was interesting, and we were young, And
Well, that's one of the things that's, I guess, in that the early '90s, mid '90s, it's not the same quote Texas country scene as it is today. Like, you guys kind of helped build the foundation of what it is today, as far as
what
was it
today
like
that it wasn't back then is good. Now, every time we go to Steamboat or those festivals, we went to Key West last week, and for such a long time there were these bands coming up that were Texas country or whatever, and it just seemed so faux. It's just so light. And I was like, y'all are calling what we do that? Because that's not what we do. Maybe Bruce and Charlie or whatever, guys that I know that are really serious about this, have a high bar for the songs first. And then all of a sudden, over the last 10 years, with Turnpike and those guys, all of a sudden I started seeing bands and artists that really do give a shit, and they're really good. Now that they can't get better, but they're starting out at a level that I know I wasn't at when I started. So it's actually been pretty cool. And that is one thing where, when they say y'all were the start of something that happened, it turned into this. I am proud of that.
One of the things about today's music, and as far as the Oklahoma, Texas thing, is that the label Texas country feels so much more inclusive. There's a lot of different bands that can kind of fall underneath this umbrella, like Turnpike. Turnpike doesn't really sound like y'all, but you guys both care about songs, and that's what people kind of gravitate towards.
Well, I can hear, I know Evan, who's the main writer, I guess. I can hear your influence on him really big.
Well, and we can talk influences all day, he and I, he listened to the same stuff that we did, so
yeah.
We sure are coming from the same place, so yeah, there definitely is more in common than there is different,
Well, going back to those early days, what I think people kind of don't realize that there was less of these kind of places where you guys could play, and it was a little bit more, obviously, lack of social networking and stuff like that. How much more difficult was it to actually get into the music business and play around?
Well, it's funny. It was really about the radio then, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah,
we'd be at the radio station.
Yeah, and also, there were people. There was Dwight Yoakam or Patty Loveless or Steve Earle, or they were on the radio, and so it was something to really aspire to.
Yeah.
A thing that seemed, and so it was pretty incredible when Jack broke through in that world, because now it is so difficult and whatever it is. But at that point, it felt doable, and our people who were heroes of ours were really doing it. Yeah,
there was almost like a chain of command that you could see. It was tangible. Yeah, and all you had to do was get in the doors of the radio station.
So that feels a little different now, and definitely, I bet. Everything from the festivals that you're talking about, or the clubs. I mean, the grassroots is incredible. The growth of it in the last.
But the good thing about what happened then, though, for us, is that there wasn't a million points of entry. Right. With the internet, man, there's an entry door at every point, at every turn. So for us, it may have seemed hard, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
You go play a club, and then when you fill that club, you go to the next club, and then the third club up was a place that looks just like this, except they were playing. It was honky tonks with disco balls.
Yeah.
And the only difference was they didn't do shit like ours every night. So we were an anomaly in that we walked into a place where Clay Walker had just played the night before, and then we bring in this entirely new crowd. So they loved us. So once you filled one club up like this, and it was packed with college kids, then the doors were open all over the state because that was a network still where the owners knew each other. They go, you got to get this Bruce Robison, Jack Ingram, Charlie. We don't know who these people are, but they're killing it.
Yeah, but like Adair's was such a big place for you. I know like you have, I don't know how many live records out there from.
Well, I got one live record from Adair's, but that was just the club that I was a freshman in college and I didn't really fit. I mean, I have a lot of great friends from SMU and from college, but those weren't my people.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of in this search for finding myself first of all, but then I don't talk about the same things that these people talk about. Where can I go? And my brother had been going to this bar. He said, "You're gonna love this music. Come down and hang out with me." And I went down there and it was Tony Lane. This great songwriter who'd never played any of his own songs when he played Adair's. He played every Thursday.
Right.
And he wrote he read A Little Past Little Rock. Or
I know he did like Run, and
he's had a bunch of great success.
Right.
And so I was down there and just loving it and going, I want to do that. So I begged Lois to let me have a night, and she finally let me have a Tuesday night. So it wasn't like Adair's was anything. It was just a place for me to go, I can get up there on Tuesday night and nobody's going to care, and I can be terrible until I'm not. That's what that was. And then because I was down there and it was different, all of a sudden all my friends came, and then all their friends came, and then it was packed every Tuesday night, and it changed what I was doing, because then I had to kind of immediately start going, oh, this is no longer rehearsal. I can't suck now.
Right.
yeah. Now, like one of the things I find really interesting is that how did you guys? Do you guys remember the first time you heard of one another? Do you remember that? Obviously,
yeah, I love that. And Jack, I believe I wish I had it. I think he wrote me a freaking letter by snail mail, and was really complimentary of my first little independent recording that didn't go anywhere. And then shortly after that, I think you took Charlie first, just him and bass player, him and Lunchmeat. And then took me out on a tour of a bunch of places that I'd never played before, a bunch of people. We were just playing in Austin. There was a lot of clubs there, so Jack reached out to us, and I don't know, he seemed to have a master plan, that, and then, that's the funny thing that continues through now, that we're up there after all these years. He's kind of like the third brother. And some days these two are getting along, and someday these two are getting along, and Jack's not really on the outside of it, And it's been so long now that we're, longer than my high school friends and everything. So it's got this real family situation that our relationship has changed over the years, and we've seen every up and down and had knockdown drag outs, and so that was the first start of a relationship that is definitely stuck, and now makes more sense. It was funny last year, and we hadn't done it. We drifted apart a little bit, and then we did a show, and it was like, whoa, this is a thing,
Yeah.
This is a relationship that we've had for so long, and it kind of has a center where we were all really tight in 1998 and 1999, and made this music that really had a big effect on the rest of our careers. Even though things changed, a lot of different directions went after that moment, but it was such a seminal, I guess is the word, time in our careers where we kind of put some things together that really had far-reaching effects for what we did after that.
Yeah, and those years also have the work that we did, the music we made, or whatever that was that we were doing. I guess the inner between years. other artists, in my mind, a lot of what makes this what it is that we didn't know it at the time, but a lot of these, like Turnpike and Randy and Wade and a bunch of these artists that have gone on to do really well, our thing becomes bigger in myth or lore or whatever, because they kept it alive. Like they were like, we want to do like that, where they were hanging up on, jumping off the cliff.
Yeah.
And so that makes it more important than it felt. You know?
Yeah. Something interesting that when talking with songwriters is it feels like they're either one of two things. Like when they're hanging out with other songwriters, is either they don't talk about music and songwriting, or they really do. Like with y'all, like, do you guys, for lack of a better term, like share notes on or talk about songwriting and like the way
we talk about it?
You guys,
Bruce and I talk about it a lot.
Yeah. And then Jack is really involved and always has been. I don't want to speak out of turn, but you're really dialed in to a lot of different songwriters, music, everything else. And then I'm about medium dialed in, and Charlie's not at all.
Right.
And so we all have our thing, and that is a conversation. It really is kind of like a family in that way, but. We do, and it's such a big deal to us. And then again, this is I like things that can re-engage you and excite you again about music. Something like this. It's a different thing, I've done some projects with Kelly, my wife, that kind of puts you in a different place than just being that guy in the middle who has to set the whole course. Right. And then it gives you a different way to think about things. It's a different way to collaborate. You mentioned songwriting. Well, and it's a great thing when co-writing works, and a sucky thing when it doesn't. But when it does work, it's really a collaboration that creates something that couldn't exist otherwise. And so this is one of those things where it's like you get to take a step back, you get to really celebrate somebody else, you get to be a part of a band, and so all of that stuff is really good, just from a music artist, the whole thing. It just kind of makes you take a step back and look at everything.
I agree. A part of, like, do we sit there and talk about songwriting? Not yes and no.
Yeah.
But like, I've always just people that I really respect as songwriters or artists, whatever. Like sitting in the bus with Bruce. We don't have to talk about songwriting, but if he's playing music, I know how important music is to him, and he's not going to play it if it didn't affect him somehow. And then in my mind, I go, that turned him on, which then when he goes to write songs, there's no way that this music we're listening to did not affect Angry All the Time or the songs that I love of his. So then in my mind, I'm always going, okay, what is it about this music that could help me be better, like that I can grab onto and steal? Because it's like if he digs it, I know why he digs music. It's the same reason why I dig music. So what's in there that I can mine for gold? Without saying a word.
Yeah, and you don't have anything to prove anymore. It's just a relationship that there's a certain easiness to it that's really pretty cool at this point.
Yeah, you guys have always kind of like struck me as songwriters who, I think a lot of songwriters care about songs, but like I think you guys are on that other level where you care about the craft of songwriting, and you can tell that these aren't just 10-minute songs. Like these aren't just created in 10 minutes and okay, this looks good and going on. It feels like there's a real editing process and thinking out each song individually and how it works. And
well, I think that I know that we thought of these guys that affected us so much, whether it was Willie or Guy or Waylon or Rodney Crowell or any of those. I mean, I think of it as high art, that's just that before I started writing songs or whatever, I mean, that's that's where it begins, is that that I see it as a really ambitious undertaking to try and write a country song. It's not just a freaking party thing. So that was never the way that we were approaching that. So, you know, sometimes we get close and sometimes we don't, but I don't think any of us ever had to try and take it seriously. The people that we were loving and tried to emulate, we thought it was poetry and really high art. So,
and if you've, like with the kind of stuff that those guys wrote, that we try to write, or I try to write, we try to write, the whole goal is to either fail miserably or have something that's fucking brilliant, and anything in between is just filler. It's bullshit.
Yeah, and then looking at what we play at night, and being able to play those songs, to be able to play Loving County, and to be able to play My Hometown, and to be able to play Biloxi or Tin Man, and it just feels really good. You know, it's very cool, and we're all arguing against our own songs, and you know, Jack saying, no, hell no, you have to play that song. Right. Are you insane? You know? And so that's a great perspective to have. It really is. We all struggle with those things, you know.
Mm-hmm. And early on when things were, you know, as a young artist and had guys open for me that then I would come just flying past me on the highway in their bus. And I'd be opening for them or whatever. And it was the hardest struggle. It was a struggle mentally to go, that guy doesn't seem to care as much about the whole reason why we're here, but it's doing so well. And I reconciled it in my brain to where it just took it out of any personal thing. I could be friends with these people where I go, they thought Guy Clark songs and Townes songs and Willie Nelson songs, you know, if you think I Gotta Get Drunk by Willie Nelson is about partying, you're right. But if you think it's more to the point would be, there's people who write party songs, and then when you do it right, you're not writing a song about how to party. You're writing a song about why you need to party, why you need to go get drunk, why you need to go to the bar. Why it's like, life fucking sucks. Let's go forget about it. That's what those songs are. And if you're not thinking about it, and it's the great part about it is that you don't have to think that deep about it. You can just go party and have a ball and not think twice about it. But if you really care about the song, you go, oh, this works because it goes, hey, I'm fucking hurting too.
Yeah, and then it feels real somehow.
Yeah.
You know, but I like thinking about Jack at 8 Airs back then, and you know, definitely things change, but you know, those were times when it was just all about the music, and you're trying to figure out who you are and how to put some words together and how people are going to react to something that you sing, and so but we did have the benefit of a time to be really anonymous. We stayed in Texas. It's a good thing about being here where you know, you can figure out where you are, but still who you are, and still have a lot of places to play and stuff, because when you go to one of the media centers, they're definitely going to make their mind up about you right away, whether you're worth spending any time on within the first couple weeks, you know, really. So
first couple songs.
Yeah, first couple songs. So, you know, that was a cool thing, and now you're still trying to figure out, you know, what you want to play and what you want to do and what kind of music you want to make.
I think this is like one of those things that a lot of people have said, you know, like your first record is about like your hometown and growing up, and your second record is kind of about like the life on the road and struggling musician. And once you get into that third record, that's when you start writing typically deeper songs. And if you don't, like, you're going to be writing the same kind of stuff over and over. Like, how did you guys get, I guess maybe onto that next phase of where you're writing on a, like past the cliche realm of songs, or like the beginning stages of an artist, I guess?
I do think that was good that we all kind of pushed each other from the beginning. And again, I think that we had some really cool influences and some really great music to listen to down here. But I do think we pushed each other in a lot of really great ways. And it didn't exactly work that way to me. I've heard that before, kind of, but I would reiterate I see the kind of music we make is based in the blues and all about telling people that they're not alone, you know, that every song is just a different story of telling people that they're not alone. It can be a happy song or a sad song.
Which is almost like telling yourself
Yeah, for sure.
You're not alone.
Whoever's there.
Yeah.
Whoever's there, the person telling it, and that tradition goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so, you know, I definitely think that we are just just weird way in that tradition of those guys. Which
Absolutely.
it's just really a cool thing here of the kind of the troubadour kind of people. It's amazing to me just how big a place that music has in people's lives, and so to be part of that, it's just such a great thing. And I don't know how that this region has so much in place that is nowhere else in the world about listening to original music that's not really, you know, being played or in a different around the world. So
No, I've never heard that concept about those different records, because that's not the way my records or songwriting went at all. I'm still writing. The same reason I started my very first song is the same reason why I started a song today. The exact same reason. It's like, I feel like shit. My heart hurts. There's a pain in my chest. Like, there's a pressure that only gets released when I make these lines work. And I go, I explain myself for once the right way, and then that changes because I did it already, and then a couple next time it's just this passion about going. I just want to feel better, and songwriting is the only thing that's ever done that. You know, so all that thing about hometown and what the phases of a life, I guess. I don't know. Like, that never happened to me.
They're the things that make people relate to this stuff. You know, they're the things that everybody shares in, and that's why those elements are in music, especially country music and the blues. You know, yeah, it's you want to relate to things, and it is a struggle to write something that really draws people in, whether it's very vague and Bob Dylan-y, or whether it is just completely obvious, and the pictures are so obvious that it draws you in that way. Either way, you know, it's really hard.
As a fan of music, there's been like a thing that the main theme about like what you asked about is a different thing for me, but it happened that I see happening is that, and I love Keith Urban. I really do respect and love what he does when he does it. But at some point in different artists' careers that I love, there's a switch that gets flipped from writing songs about who they are, and it turns into writing songs about who their audience is.
Right.
And that's the only thing that I ever try to guard against, is that when I find myself writing a line that I think someone else would think is great, is when I get into trouble.
Well, and that's tough, man. It really is. And that's why I love that vision of him, and I can remember the clubs that we played in when you just are not encumbered by any real thoughts of success.
Right.
So, because those things can really mess with you, you know.
Springsteen says his only job is to write songs as if no one's listening.
Yeah, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's every day, you know, there's just a lot of different pressures to take you out of that place that you were in before you started really having anybody listening to you at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you guys like when you're writing something, or when you're thinking of, do you guys get like in I guess have to be in a songwriting mood to actually start working on songs, and that may be like, you know, some weeks set apart from your. Well, I guess what I'm asking is, like, do you guys try and write on like a weekly?
I always
basis,
wish I
or
could do better with writing more songs and figure out a way to do that. And I've always been horrible at it, and I'm still horrible at it.
Yeah, I don't set aside time. I always find it. I know it's strange, but like when you when something's going right with Amy or with your wife, with Kelly, whatever, or like with a girl, it might not be real. You're not in the same jet stream at first, but then if you just give it a shot and then it clicks, and all of a sudden every time is the exact same time as it's great. And no matter how you got there, once you go, and you're moving in that direction, that's all that matters. And so all I ever try to do is just give myself a chance at getting laid, you know, and making it work. It's just kind of, all right, I don't feel it, but I have this idea. And then in a while you'll know, or you just go move on.
Yeah. What's been like the, like for example, like Tin Man. Did you know that was going to be like a great song? You know what I mean?
That's
like
the
whenever
beauty
you were,
of songs.
or
really is the beauty is that when we finish that song, there is no hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda's not going to cut it necessarily, and we wrote 2 songs yesterday that we felt leaving that co-write session or whatever, that we were like, nobody else in the town could have written this song today, and we really love it. That's as far as it can ever go.
Right.
And then what happens to it I have no control over that.
Yeah.
And so it's like when we walked out of that room, I was like, that's damn good, dude. He's like, yeah, we killed it. But we said that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, Jack played a song last night that we wrote that I really think is good. A really good song. It's called What Makes You Say. It's very simple. It's really just a heavy-duty song where it goes and how it says it. And there's a very small number of people in the world really know that song at all.
Right. But the
some
ones
of
who
them
do,
some of them feel strongly about it.
Absolutely.
And
every musician that's ever entered my band since that record, always asks, like, begs me to play it. Like, play it.
But like Jack said, you really don't have any control over that. But also, you know, my experience is things can be so random and weird and out of left field. I have a great confidence of 50-50, whatever it is, that someday something might happen with that song. You know,
Right.
Somebody might cut it, or it might be in a movie, or whatever it is. It will hopefully have its moment in the sun. Which many times
I was thinking about that, not about the song, but I was thinking about that when I walked over to get a little bite to eat earlier.
Yeah.
I go, like, you know, this place is not going to be packed tonight. There's going to be people,
Wow.
but it's not going to be packed. And I go, our job is only to keep going so that years from now, people will beg us to do this again, even though it wasn't a packed house. They will have, it's almost like we're always out in front of what becomes something that we did that was cool.
Yeah, and to know that at the moment. I mean, it's the same with anybody's life, you know. It's a cool thing right now. Yeah.
I was wanting to ask you about like the whole Next Waltz stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, first off, like where did you get the idea, and like how has that like influenced your, I guess, like working with all these different bands, influenced? Well, like what have you learned from the experiences?
Well, that first off, it's been like a 10-year process since the wheels came off the industry that I learned and knew of and had some success in, or even way longer than that, where maybe I had 10 years to mourn it, and then another few years to think about, well, do I want to do something else, or at a certain point I wanted to re-engage with it and try and be part of whatever comes next, because it is such a just a pile of rubble, really it is. I mean, and there definitely are some bands whenever they are have that momentum and they're beginning out, and there's a lot of of that momentum that you have when you start that can be really, really cool. So I just engaged. I swear that when I wrote the songs that did well for me, I wasn't thinking about that, and I just wanted to be part of what I thought might be good music or ambitious music or something cool. And so now the Next Waltz is really what I am excited about, being part of good music. We cut a song that we have working to radio right now that it's called Why I Left Atlanta, and we got Jack to sing it. And I sent him a bunch of songs, and he picked that one, and it's just a great freaking song. And that is a throwback to the way music used to work, where they were trying to pair a great freaking song with a great freaking artist and try and get the band perfect.
Now it's mediocre songs to mediocre artists.
Kind of. With whatever band is available or something like that. But I mean, if you do, and I'm not trying to cast stones, but if you go back and you say, oh man, At Last by Etta James, you put those three things together, who the band is, who the artist is, and who the song, where the song is, it was brilliance in all three of those things. And so that was, and then there were many songs that they recorded that way that didn't make it through. So you always know how difficult it is. So that is my part of wanting to do that, which is all I ever wanted to do, which is freaking shoot for the moon, man. And it's okay when it doesn't work out, but it really, it's fun doing that, you know? And so to look at the internet as a really amazing new delivery device, which is also, you know, still complete, really hard to be heard. But that's what that is. It's a new kind of label. It's a new kind of publicity situation. It's a new kind of production thing. So it's very exciting. It's very cool, you know.
It's been fun as a friend to watch.
Yeah.
His interest in that, and because what do you call it when a facilitator?
Right.
Bruce, Bruce and I have talked about this. Like, he's not a natural collaborator.
Right.
He's a singular kind of artist and a singular kind of voice. And I've always been his little brother pulling at him like, hey man, let's go, come on,
let's go.
Yeah, let's go do something. And to watch him become a great facilitator and a collaborator and a celebrator of like, hey man, I like Jason Eady. I think this song fits with you, and I like Randy for these reasons, and I think he would do this kind of song well. And to be able, those are great thoughts to have, but to put them together and risk your own ego or whatever to go to Randy and like how to massage that because he's a great songwriter. And when you go, hey Randy, I want you to do this, and here's why, because you're great. Like it's hard to do. It's hard to be a facilitator and a collaborator in that respect when you're dealing with other people's egos and visions. And to be able to push them in the direction to see what you're doing it takes a lot more words and explanation than I've used to see you be willing to do.
And it's not something that comes natural to me, but it's a lot of fun. It's a way for me to engage in music and to also, we're also all looking for ways to use our own talents, you know, and I have amazing access to amazing artists. This is incredible.
Yeah.
At this point. And so that's a cool thing. I really enjoy it. You know?
So you've been like the one who kind of picks the songs even?
Well, that's what I want to do. At this point, really, I've had a hit song before, and it's like at this point, I would probably, because it would be a fresh thing, to have another hit song on another artist on a thing that I produce would probably be more gratifying to me at this point than actually, you know, pushing another one that did well for somebody else. That would be, it's a really interesting new thing to do and a new challenge that I'm looking for. I'm 52 years old, and so it's a really cool time to have a new challenge, you know.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what it was fun, man, was when we did it, it was what I would love to give to other artists is like, hey man, give the reins up. Like, you sent me songs, and all I had to do was go, yeah, I'll do that one.
Yeah.
And then you got the band, you got the thing, and I showed up, and then I got to do what I do best.
Yeah.
Under your, like, I can do whatever I want because Bruce is not going to leave me hanging.
Yeah, that's the idea, hopefully, you know. And there were a lot of things in place 20 years ago where Jack wouldn't have been able to do that. His team, his label, his wife, everybody would have just been saying, hell no, man. You have to really take care of what we've built here. And there's this really disaster of freedom that we have now where people will do almost anything that you ask. And I'm trying to engage with that, you know, and try and do something creative because we have to use that freedom. The way that you use freedom is to go ahead and do it and still not be paralyzed by, you know, what other people are going to think.
Yeah. I guess was the first episode with Turnpike?
No.
Or was that like...
Oh, boy. I think Jerry Jeff might have been the first one. And God, I can't remember because we've learned now that one of the biggest things we have to do is as we're doing the piece to know the release date because the artists are all agreeing, and then their teams and everybody are like going, no, you cannot. We got this amazing song with Wade Bowen that is a duet with Holly Williams, and it's just really a wonderful song. It took a year and a half to get it. It's a song that Robin wrote. My sister wrote. Damn, it's blanking on me right now. And so
one of the big ones that I like.
No, I don't think you've ever heard it. Yeah, wow. And it's a magic song. I didn't even listen to it.
Really, really great artists.
Yeah,
Wade
yeah,
Bowen's in the phone book.
And so Robin, my sister, sent me. This shows who I am. She sent me some songs. I didn't even listen to them. It was just an email. I listened to some of them, but this was an email where I didn't listen to the songs. She had got together with somebody, a young girl from Australia, and they'd written some songs. And then my wife said, "Did you listen to those songs she sent over?" And I went, embarrassedly, "No, I didn't." And I put it on, and I went, "Oh my God, this one song was just like that sounded like a hit to me." And so when I was looking at stuff with Wade, I sent that one over, and he flipped over it. And then we were both like, but that's a duet, isn't it? You know? And neither one of us had ever met Holly Williams before. Now, maybe I had it at MJM. But we reached out to him at Jack's charity event that he does every year. And so that song took us to this place. And I'll send it to you. And we're hopefully, but Wade just released a really great record this week. So it'll probably be maybe 6 or 8 months until we put this thing out. And so the song is, I see songs as magic. That's been experience of the ones that I have had good things happen with. You got no control over it, you know, and they're just going to go someplace. And so this song that my sister wrote is finding its own way, man. And it's just up to us to let it be what it's going to be, you know, and find the right pieces, you know. And sometimes,
but the beauty of something like that to me is also like what you said with Wade, and you sent him that song. Like that's also the magic of a song, is that you sent him this song. You like, this is a badass song, and so the beauty of it is that you don't have to know somebody that well, but when they react and go, that song's the one, you go, oh, we're going to be friends.
Yeah. But I sent him great songs from Gillian Welch, and I sent him great songs. You know, I sent him a bunch of really cool songs. But, man, it's a crazy thing. And so that's what I love about it. I really do.
Yeah. A couple points. Your sister's last record I thought was incredible. But then also, like, I guess, like that, what I remember about that Turnpike episode is that there was like where y'all are just talking, not even like where the song is, but like maybe a 10-minute piece, 8-minute video of you guys, or I think like you even like are interviewing Evan. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. You know, like
I'm glad you watched that. People haven't been watching the interviews as much, and so that's another interesting part is having this content. You can take a bunch of content and getting people to watch it, or you know, they're watching 8-second pieces these days, you know, and so, but also the process. That's what the next Waltz is also about. That from my first trip to Nashville, like when we went and went in the studio and the players and bringing the song together and trying to figure out what it is. That is such a freaking fascinating process, you know. It's awesome. And it's the greatest thing, and so that is the part that we would love to let people know. We try and get better at letting people, given a window into seeing what that process is like, and everyone's different, you know. And Evan and those guys are from a completely different place, and they're way younger than me, and they have their own thing. But it's a really cool thing about our culture is it all holds together too, you know. From a long way away, and we really have a cultural background that even if you've never met somebody, you really have a lot in common. It's a great thing.
Yeah,
to see.
And I know
Spencer Peebles,
yeah,
is the guy who's doing a lot of the filming for Bruce in the next Waltz, and he has an energy about him.
It's really creative.
He dove into what Bruce is doing, and he taps into it, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is.
How did the I guess like what made you think of that Jerry Jeff Walker song being?
What song did they do?
Mississippi on Your Mind, right? Didn't
well, after the first couple that we did, we realized that well, there's a lot of things. It's like, how do you show people something about them? A big thing we talk about is influences, and so there was a couple things. If you get out there and you get all set up and all this kind of stuff, you can pretty much record 2 songs almost for the same time that you do. So we started where we'd and we didn't know that with your piece, where now we'll do a new song with that we find together.
You knew it. You said, because you probably don't ever go in and do just one song.
We don't.
No, I mean, with your own recordings, I've
Oh,
always
sure.
got 2.
Yeah, I got to. It's the same thing, And
so can I go back and do another one?
We got to go back and do another one. And then we use that thing to show people's influences a little bit more. We've had a lot of different thoughts of trying to get people to do something that their fans wouldn't know, or an influence that they really wouldn't. And it's just a good window into who people are,
I've just really, like, I've watched every one that as they come out, and I just think they're really well done and like, again, like really thoughtful.
Well, thanks.
You know what I mean? Like the Mike and the Moon Pies one, I thought was like, and see, that's one of those things where I thought like all these people were picking out these songs like themselves. So like that, to me, that it's a testament to you being able to see these songs in these people really well.
I've always, I'm just a huge music geek and fan, and so I would watch the behind the music and love the first third and hate the second 2/3 wherever the wheels come off and talk about drugs or whatever it is. The first part where people talk about how they put together who they are and what they are, that fascinates me. I don't care who it is, even if it's music that I'm not crazy about. And so that's the story that we always try to tell. And also, man, Mike and the Moon Pies are out there every damn night, and so it's fascinating to me, a band like that too, where they're coming from, just like it is from Jerry Jeff, who has a whole different perspective, So those stories always fascinate me. Let's leave out the slow third act and talk about those first parts where people, that's everybody, we all relate to each other that way.
Yeah.
That's funny, because that's the reason why I've always loved Petty and Springsteen and guys like that, where there never was a wheels off, gone for.
And it's rare. It's really rare people who have.
Even Willie has his stories, but it wasn't in that same fashion. And I've always kind of been like, no, man, you don't take breaks. All you do after you take a break is try to get back to where you were before you took a break. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's Jack Ingram, man. That guy, he's the hardest working man in showbiz.
No, it's just a trip.
I take a lot of breaks. But he's right,
Well, it's just that story is boring, is I agree. Like those last 2/3 of the behind the music were just so stupid.
They really are, and a lot of the stories that people come up with these days. So every person who is doing a record is getting back to their roots, and it's just a really boring thing to me. I don't care, and so I do think that people have really interesting stories, and how they they express themselves is really always fascinating to me.
Another kind of session thing that you did was with the Texas Gentlemen. That was a while back. How was that? Like, that was kind of just more like I think they just set up for like a week or something. But how was...
They set up for, I guess 4 or 5 days at the Belmont, at Burns' place in Dallas. And it's the same kind of vibe. Yeah. It's like, let's get people that understand each other's world but aren't necessarily always in each other's world, and see what happens.
And then the technology just makes it a really, these things that we're talking about doing would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars just a few years ago. And now, you can really make it amazing. That's the difference, is this kind of storytelling is available. And also, I think it's very likely that it's going to be more effective than traditional advertising, where you're hammering people over the head the way we used to do it, and try to get 7 media touches in order to get somebody to buy a record.
Right.
Now it's like, no, you're not going to get 7, and there's nothing to buy at the end of the thing. So anyway,
just be a part of the process.
Just be a part of the process, and try and do something really interesting. And so, you know, that again, that's what we're trying to do, is use this technology in a cool way. You know, tell
One of the cool
stories.
things about the Texas Gentleman and other people like that is that I find sometimes it's very interesting to have people that, I think I was talking about this with you about Rodney Crowell, but I enjoy getting with people who I know we have the same record collection, but we each have different favorite songs from those records.
Yeah.
And that kind of scene reminds me of that. Like, I know where the Texas Gentlemen are coming from. We're coming from two opposite sides of the same record collection.
Right.
You know, and so to understand each other in that way, but also still be having to kind of feel each other out about where you're going to go with it is really interesting, because it just creates another opportunity to go, oh, wow, we did something that I couldn't have done without you. You know?
Yeah.
You couldn't have done it without me, and we're both bringing something really cool.
Yeah. Those guys seem to, I guess, like, where, like Jonathan Tyler, his band and him used to come here all the time, and a couple of members in his backing band were always talking about this group called Texas Gentlemen. And this was like probably 5-6 years ago, and they were adamant, like, you're going to hear about these guys sometime. And it just felt like, therefore, the last couple of years, they've been a part of all these really great records, like from Paul Cawthon to, I don't know, I'm blanking now, but like a bunch of really just...
They're open, like, it's almost like it's not even really an a subtext with them. It's like they all love the band.
Right.
And the band was called the band because they were everybody's backing band, and that's what they want to do, and it's kind of out there in the open, and so they're open to a lot of different frontmen kind of stuff, and so it's they're becoming a part of some kind of part of the fabric because they want to be.
Yeah.
Well, I really think it's Jack, and I try and do this too, is we're connectors from some different worlds that I think are a really cool thing and a strength of it. It's a challenge sometimes. There's a lot of people in that group, they'd never go to Steamboat, you know.
Right.
Never go to Nashville, probably, you
Right.
know. And so I know we pride ourselves, you know, Jack with his event and his career and everything. Myself too, we've really attempted to be able to engage with Nashville, hopefully on our own terms, but do that. Have friends and fans of people who are on the radio, and then that scene is you know, with Nikki and the Cawthon and Jonathan he jumps different things too, and so, you know, we are really trying to be connectors, because all these things actually really should be together, you know, that whether it's the hardcore red dirt thing and then the more hipster side over there, and then the people that are on the radio and in Nashville. You know, Jack and I try and connect all those worlds, because there ain't a damn bit of difference between any of them.
Really
the
not.
best of all of it is just held together that way.
For some
I love
reason,
the way you
like...
put that. The best of all of those things is fantastic.
Yeah.
And the middle of all of it is mediocre. It's
And the
like-
separations of all of it is just marketing.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
so,
Well, that's what I was going to
yeah,
get to,
yeah.
is that, like, a lot of people here in Texas, they think of Nashville as like a bad word.
Right.
And there's a lot of great records being up there, being made, and a lot of people from Texas make their records up there, and a lot of great songs are
Steve
being...
Earle lived there for 30 years. Guy Clark lived there for 50.
Yeah, yeah. And it can be effective thing. It can be effective rallying cry, you know. And
Divide and conquer.
I always laugh at people who say that fuck Nashville, because, like, Waylon Jennings made his records there, and so did Dave and Sugar at the same time.
Right.
And you can who's at fault?
Right. Sure.
Nobody.
Sure. And so that's been an interesting, I don't speak for Jack, but that's definitely been an interesting part of our lives and careers, is to try and not be hung up in those things, you know, and not be sour grapes, and, you know, be able to, and that's probably what I'm most proud of, is to be able to stay in Texas and then go up there and be able to make a mark, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause it's really hard to do.
You guys have mentioned Springsteen a whole lot. What's like your favorite Springsteen record?
That's crazy. We
Like
did a bunch of Next Waltz stuff in a Steamboat, and every artist, their top influence was Bruce Springsteen or Tom Petty, a little bit less. Every single one of them. I was a little taken aback by that, you know.
Surprised?
Yes. Yeah. I guess I don't know why I should be, but I don't know. It's just, and I love Bruce Springsteen. He was a huge influence on me, but miles and miles behind Emmylou Harris or Willie Nelson or Hank Williams or a million other things, Don Williams or whatever it was. But that was surprising to me.
I've always had a strong connection to the things I like about Springsteen, and I let the other stuff go.
Right.
But to be able to have those kinds of huge anthemic, like the broad stroke stuff that he does is intricate enough to where I go, well, yeah, of course, because he is a perfect meld of like competent and integrity.
I think that's
and
Petty too. That could go this room in here. It's a big old box. You could put, I don't know, a couple thousand people in here. You packed it in, and they would be able to convey music that really had an authentic and had what you thought were really worthwhile themes, stories, whatever it is, and convey it over a larger thing, which is a really hard thing to do both of those things. You can usually do one or the other, tell a good story, or rock the guys in the back of the room and
I think that's what
seat arena.
I can't speak for all those artists, but the reason why I bring them up a lot is because of that, the records, the songs, and then how then he gets on a stage and does that in a way that's huge and connective and go to be great or close to great at all those elements of a recording career is like I know how tough that is. That's all right.
It is, and I myself come from an era where indie was not something that you aspired to. You know, that great artists were really attempting to reach as many people as they could. That's where I was formatively, where my head was. Where even if I loved Elvis Costello, he was still trying to reach lots and lots of people and was not trying to set him apart from the mainstream. He was trying to take over the mainstream, and so that's still where my head is. Yeah, for sure.
Because I remember when a couple years ago, and I've said this in another interview too, but the part of it, the acceptance of where this world is and will be for a long time, is when we were in the seventh grade, or I don't know. You're a little older than me, but when I was in the 6th or 7th grade, MASH had its final episode, and 115 million people watched it, and it was all you could hear about for a week. Fast forward to 2014 or whatever, Breaking Bad had its final episode, and it's all you could hear about for a week, and 2.6 million people watched it. And the difference between those two cultures that we've lived through both of them, that's when I finally realized you don't have to please everybody. If you just do great work,
they'll find it and they'll talk about it.
And it's 113 million people less than cared about MASH on the TV, but it still hit a cultural nerve. And that gives me hope.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's around me all the time. Everybody's. I like to mess with my son's head. He likes to think about things at school. He goes to a good school, and they were debating on what the most important job was. And I was like, well, what do we all talk about? And it was things that should be social workers and doctors and all this kind of stuff, And I said, man, I wouldn't disagree with that, but how about we throw musician in most important job? And he was like, no way, people don't need music. And I'm like, well, in a way, you go back to any culture, and even in the worst times, no matter what they did, what they had, what they didn't have, the one thing you're going to find is they found a way to make music. If you might say, besides food, it's the one thing that they couldn't do without. And so it's an amazing thing to be part of that,
That's cool.
And
that's a great way to think about it.
And it is, because I play funerals and weddings and
quinceañeras.
I thought it was a quinceañera, and I found out day of show that it wasn't, and then it was an old folks' home, and that was one of the worst days of my life. But
best story.
But it's such a great job, and that's why we're in this room. It's such a cool thing to be part of, and thing that we want, to be part of our lives.
Yeah, I'll get you out on this last question here. Recently, the Flatland Cavalry next Waltz video came out, and you had said, about you were talking about Lubbock music and how a lot of great artists are coming out of here, and like you were on Dalton's Corners record and on the song Corners. What do you see in these up and coming artists that are all coming kind of like from the panhandle of Texas?
So like specifically these guys that are the new generation out of here?
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing that we saw. It's not the same thing as Joe Ely and Butch Hancock and Jimmy Dale, but I think anytime there's always going to be artists coming out of here that have something about them that's unique or that comes from their own imagination. Because just walking across the street, man, when you walk around in West Texas, and my parents grew up in Midland, so I was out in this area a lot. Your brain is changed by the topography and the geography out here. It's like it's a different air, it's a different thing. And the sky is huge, and we can talk about how mystical it is, but it's just the truth. If you've seen a sandstorm coming at you or driven through one, like your mind is altered a little bit. It must have an effect.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of with, like, I saw Dalton and I understood where he's coming from and I understand what he's doing. Same with William Clark Green and guys like that. And it doesn't matter what I think, really. All that matters is that I see them and I go, however you got to this point, just keep doing more of that.
Yeah, I found that all the music I like is regional, all of it, whether it's Motown or Muscle Shoals or Cosmic Cowboy or Lubbock or Tulsa.
Yeah.
It's regional, and that it's American music is just freaking crazy, Delta blues, whatever it is. It's just that's the coolest thing that you just hear people all over the world trying to emulate their roots, and
they're trying to emulate things that the people that made them weren't emulating.
Yeah, and so that's regions seem to inform those things. And so just at the most basic point, that's what it seems like to me, just because all the music I love, even if they moved to the city, that they came from Tulsa and went to L.A. and changed the culture in some way that you'd have to know about Leon Russell to see that, or
It's funny you said Leon Russell. As soon as you said that, I was like, Leon Russell.
Yeah, or Glenn Campbell coming from Arkansas or whatever it was. That is the thing that, I don't know, but people relate to it and they don't even know it, and it'll come from LA and it'll be Jimmy Webb crossed with, Glenn Campbell and Leon Russell and a bunch of other weirdos from out in little places like Lubbock, so.
Yeah.
Even if I find something new, I'll I got to find out where that actually came from, because somewhere it's some weirdo that is putting it all together in a really new way.
Yeah.
And so that's what I see there, and it's really cool. They have more guys to relate to, though. Me and Jack and Charlie, that was all we had. Yeah. And they seem to have a lot of other people that are all doing it. So I'm a little envious of that.
I am envious of these new kids, man. These new guys, like, we didn't have that. That's the whole reason Bruce and Charlie and I are friends is because there were two other dudes that had independent records, and I loved the songs. And I go, "Will y'all be my friends?"
Yeah,
like there's nobody else out here.
Yeah, so it's cool to see that growth, and thank you for being part of that.
Well, thank you. I mean,
thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for coming on and talking with me about music. And
Charlie was sitting here and he didn't even get a word edgewise.
That just never happens.
And he's just nodding right now. He's just like, man, he said everything.
This really is our relationship. We'll go to the therapy, Charlie.
We'll let you know how it turns out. They said you were fine.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much again.
Man, thanks for having us.